to strike. To strike.
The fire makes the city look so bright. Close your eyes and just stay tight. We have to go. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will relieve us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will
Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome to the Waveline Week 4. This is your host Exernian. Today I am joined by the one and only Clutch and Matt Pizza with the lowercase p. So, Clutch, how are you doing tonight?
It's going pretty good. I mean, we saw EGL match yesterday, VBU Krypton versus Hawthorne. VBU took the upset, so that was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, just another week of EDL, just another week.
Just
Just
another
another
week.
day on the job.
True.
Yeah.
Matt Pizza, how are you tonight then?
I am doing great. Woke up relatively early at 10 today, so,
Uh,
you know,
Oh my god.
actually awake for this.
I see, I see. But yeah, I mean, overall, sorry guys, we started a little late today. There aren't too many matches to go over this week, so we're just gonna start with the recap of last week. So in the Lunari division, we had TFA versus Same Strategy. TFA won 2-1. And then we had on stream, we had Feed the Dream versus Hyperion Shadow. It was a pretty banger series. FTD won 2-1. And then in the Solari division, we had the Junior Burgers versus Big Duck Entourage, and it was a 2-1 for Junior Burgers. And then we had Abyssal Emerald versus Rev, which was actually an FF from Abyssal, so Rev to get the free 2-0. And then we had MIT versus the Crosspoint Koalamos, which was another 2-0 for MIT. So we're going to start from the beginning. We had TFA versus Same Strategy. Clutch, what do you think happened in this series?
I mean, same strategy. Like I said, is the team that can always take a game off you. I mean, obviously we saw I believe who did they go? Hyperion or something, week 1 or week 2, and they took a game. And then against it was FTD. They took a game, and then now they go against TFA and they take a game. So they're hanging around. Like it's not like they're getting slammed, but they're also not putting series wins up on the board. And in a very difficult group like Lunari, I'm just gonna say this right now: Lunari is way harder than Solari. I'm not biased, I promise. But in a group where the teams are all going to be very close at the end. You have to pick up series wins. You can't just like win one game. And I mean, unfortunately for them, they lost the series. TFA, they look pretty solid, from what I heard. But I mean, I didn't really watch, so there's not really much more I can get from that. Uh, so that's just
Yeah,
my take on
yeah,
the
I agree.
series.
I wasn't able to really see the series either, but again, like just kind of riding off of what Clutch said, I do think that same strategy, like they are pulling wins off of these stronger teams like TFA and FTD. So, same strategy isn't a team you want to be sleeping on, but at the same time, like they're coming so close to the finish line, but they're not, actually crossing it. Like they're pulling these wins, but it's like I think they would be doing better if the series, instead of best of threes, they were best of ones, because then you would have a bigger chance. Like in best of ones, you get to cheese, and then you can pull off some more wins off of bigger teams that way. Because in a best of three, yeah, you instead of going 2-0, you just go 2-1, right? So I do think that same strategy is not a bad team. Like I know that I've been kind of sticking them at the bottom of my power rankings. I feel that same strategy has a lot of potential. Like we're seeing them pull off wins, like I said, and like look at looking at some of their even just like post games and stuff like that. They're not like getting like some of the games, like sure they're kind of stomps and stuff, but other than that, I do think that like there is potential under there. But TFA obviously has been coming in strong in the season, and, I don't think that they're going to be doing any worse as the season goes on. Like, I definitely think that they're going to make it out of the, Lunari division and into playoffs. So that, those are my thoughts. So, Matt Pizza, do you have anything to add to
hmm
that?
So, looking at the game, the one game that TFA lost, right? Um, it w- their top and or same strategy's top laner, Swan Run Sun and Ashabat are in the jungler. Um, they were doing a lot of work for their team. Like the top laner, he was playing Urgot 11, 1 and 5. Like he was a really huge threat, right? And then we also had Sejuani. So like for same strategy, they had a huge front line that allowed their carries like the shells and Brad Paul. I'm sorry if I'm chopping the names up. Um, but it just allowed their carries to get the damage off. But even in the game that they lost, right? Green Frost only died once. So like going on to the later games, like they were able to see how TFA was playing and were able to alter their play style towards it. They put they decided to put their top laner on Urgot, and like he just rolled House game 2 and Aatrox game 3. So I think TFA is the type of team that like can like test the water out game 1, see what works, what doesn't, and then game 2 and 3 to just go at it.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with what you said. It's like, TFA is again like one of the stronger teams in Lunari. And I don't think I would have expected same strategy. It would have been huge if same strategy actually did win against TFA.
Hmm.
But end of the day, here we are. So we'll move on. So there is the next match, and this was the stream match. It was FTD versus Hyperion Shadow. So this match was very one-sided from the predictions. We all kind of voted Hyperion Shadow actually. FTD decided to prove us wrong, and they won 2-1. So it was FTD game 1, and then Hyperion game 2, and then FTD game 3. So I mean, overall, like FTD played super well. Game 1 and game 3. Game 2 I think was really close actually. There was one pick I kind of scratched my head at. I was a little wow, that was a brave choice. It was the Nidalee pick. But other than that, I do think that FTD has, slowly and quietly been showing people that like they're a good team. They are 2-0 in the season right now. So, FTD, they actually, haven't lost yet, and I do think they are a really strong team, and on stream we saw that. So, Matt Pizza, we'll go back to you. Who do you think was the star player of FTD?
Um, I think the star player for me is. I mean, I'm gonna be biased. Obviously, I'm a top laner. It's Chubby Chernobyl. Again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, but I like a good tank player. Like he's playing Cho'Gath. He was on
I knew
tank
you were gonna
duty.
point that out. Yeah, the
I had to
Cho'Gath.
point it out.
Uh
He
huh.
was on Cho'Gath. He was on tank duty, and like I respect a man who just knows what he had to do, puts aside his pride, and is just like, you know what, whatever, man. If my team needs a tank, I'll be the front line.
Yeah, and
I
I
mean,
think that FTD has so many like working pieces that just fit together. It's like a well-oiled
mhm,
machine. They've got all the gears that are in the right place. Like Nerf Snugglebutt and Mystic Ozzy, they have like I think they're one of the most consistent bot lanes, and that consistently does it well. And just that night, like we didn't even see them like really play bad that entire series. And then
mhm.
my player to watch from my power rankings that I released at like midnight yesterday. I pointed out Merit Lage or Lodge. Sorry if I butchered your name, but they were playing Graves and Kindred game 1 and game 3, and like they were just doing really well. They were being really impactful. You're playing these really strong junglers, and you're making a really big impact for yourself. You're telling your team like, "Hey, I can get resources and I can like carry you," and they were doing so well. Game 2, even on the Nidalee, like they were doing really well early, and then they were making a couple mistakes. I mean, not just them. The whole team kind of had a few mistakes here and there that did cost them the game. But I think at the end of the day, like Uncool Squash is playing Corky. I think they ended like 16-2 or something on Corky, something crazy, right? So it was a really
Mhm.
close game. And like FTD, I didn't really point them out until I guess last week or until we saw them on stream. But I do see FTD being a team that will probably climb up to, I think they could be a top 2 or 3 team in the league. And then on the other side of the coin, there was Hyperion Shadow. And Hyperion Shadow, obviously, we saw a huge penta from Lo-Fi Foot Fetish at the very end of the second game that just won the game for them. Like, FTD was at their nexus. Lo-Fi Foot Fetish just, like, runs out of base, like, pow, 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 all the rockets, and then penta kill. Like, it was pretty insane. And then they just ran down mid and won. Like,
Mhm. It's
it's
like the
pretty insane.
dream Jinx play. Like Lo-Fi was just on his game that day. He was just like, "This is it. This is going down in EDL history."
Yeah. But overall, those are my thoughts. I do think Hyperion Shadow has been one, like, they were a team from the beginning that I did have my eyes on. They are 1-2 in this season, but I do think that they've been going against some really good teams. Like week 1, they went against TFA. Second week, oh never mind, they had a free week against Haven. But week 3, actually wait, no, they beat Haven, I believe. That was the one week Haven played. Yeah, and then they 2-0'd Haven, right? So
I believe so. Yeah.
yeah. So then they did have a really good showing so far through the season as well. So honestly, that was a really good series and it was a really close. It was really close. So those are my thoughts. So Matt Pizza, do you have any thoughts on Hyperion Shadow?
So Hyperion Shadow to me was they were a strong team coming in, right? Like but it's just like I know that Sammy Two Step his stretch was like was insane, right? Like okay, there's something about all the Thresh players
True.
in
It's kind of
EDL.
like we're
Can we
kind of
just talk about
stacked with
that?
Thresh players. Like every single team has like some insane Thresh player.
And it's just like oh my god. I like yeah, I they're just it's the Thresh players, the supports, they're kind of insane. But yeah, 72 Steps Thresh is insane. Um but I mean honestly like Hyperion Origin, I don't have much to say about them. They're just a really like middle of the pack type of team.
Hmm.
They're consistent and yeah.
Yeah. So Clutch, do you have any finishing thoughts on FTD and Hyperion Shadow?
Um, don't pick Nidalee.
Don't pick
Um,
Nidalee.
please
I
just
gotta say,
stick to the
Merit
two
Lage was
champions that
looking
you were splitting
so
on.
good. But he was looking so good on the Italy the
He
first like half of the game, and then it was
Yeah, he
just
wasn't doing too bad, but Nidalee is a champion, you know. If later the game goes, you start to fall off. He did have that really nice Baron steal though, that you guys didn't point out, where he did play Nidalee and he jumped over the wall and stole the Baron. And I was like, oh my god, they actually stay alive, because I think like Hyperion, if they get that Baron, the game's over. But yeah, I mean FTD, I think they're a very very solid team. I think they'll be top 3 in the division, and Hyperion, I think like we said, are middle of the pack. I mean, they probably should have gotten 2-0 in that series, but Lo-Fi Foot Fetish kind of just said, "All right, well, I'm gonna get us a win." So it was good by him. But yeah, I mean, I think that Feed the Dream are quietly becoming one of the best teams in the division. I think they're up there with Unlucky and CB to me. I think they're top 3. And then I think Hyperion's they're like right around that 4th, 5th place spot. I think the division's just really, really hard. And that all the teams like 1 through 6 or whatever it was, like 1 through 5, I don't know, are really close. And I think there's like same strategy, which is kind of at the bottom, which sucks because I think if they're in Solari, like they'd be better. But yeah, I think it was close. Be the Dream top team. I think Hyperion's middle of the pack, and it's really all I got to say about the series.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So then we'll look into the Solari division. There was the Junior Burgers versus Big Duck Entourage. So I do think that Big Duck Entourage has been coming into the season really strong. They were 2-0 before this week. Um, like overall, well, I don't really have much to say on this series other than like Junior Burgers. I feel like that once they've gotten like a more stable roster, they're able to pick up wins like this, right? They did technically beat CPK, but then, you know, things happened and then they kind of lost the win. But, Junior Burgers, I think, from the Solari division, they're slowly trying to kind of climb the standing. So obviously they came into the season 0-1, taking that record. And yeah, I just found that like it's hard for me to really say because I didn't really watch the series. I wasn't able to, but I do think that if Junior Burgers is obviously like coming in this strong, and they beat Big Duck Entourage, the team that was undefeated. That's nothing to really scoff at. That's not something to just kind of look over. So I do think that Junior Burgers, especially like I mean, Panda Squeaker popped off on I think it was Nunu, did some crazy damage, was just all over the map. And, like I just think that Junior Burgers has a lot of working pieces as well. And when they're starting to come together, you can see that they're picking up wins like this. But then on Big Duck Entourage, well, I do think, they're using Poober, and I do think Poober is one of the better mid laners in the division and in the league. I don't know what really happened. Like, I wish I could, go grab someone from Big Duck Entourage and just say, like, hey, like, what happened this series, Like, I can look at the match histories and I can look at the post games and stuff, like, but, I don't really have much to really say about that series. So, Matt Pizza,
Mhm.
if I remember correctly, week 3, you predicted BDE 2-0.
See, I I believe in the comeback story. And I think BDE is like they're just trying to fulfill the comeback story. They're trying to fulfill my narrative
Aren't they
right
two
now.
and
All
zero?
right. Shh. All right.
He's got like the
Listen,
script pulled out and he's like,
I
what's
have the
going
script.
on?
I'm editing the EDL script right now. All right, Clutch. All right, my bad. But
Okay.
I'm gonna see BD make it to playoffs. I believe it. But one thing I do want to point out is game 3. They did a little bit of like a E sub Swaparino, right? Like we see Hayam Thresh going top, and we have Langmo coming in. And for the last other 2 games, we had Hayam Thresh in the support position and Puber Diff in top. So I think if they had the same roster from game 2 and game 1, I think this might have been in the favor of BDE. Um, but again, roster issues, it just continues to plague the team. So hopefully they'll have a stable roster coming in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I remember talking about that as well last week that both Junior Burgers and Big Duck Entourage were having trouble keeping rosters together, so I wasn't exactly sure who was going to win. I did think it was
Mhm.
going to be 2-1 for either team, so. But yeah, Clutch, do you have anything to add as well?
Yeah. So I obviously write power rankings for this division, so I kind of have more in-depth like knowledge of these teams. Um, so I think Big Duck Entourage is the weakest 2-1 team in this division, and the weakest team with 2 wins because there's Big Duck Entourage, Rev, CPK, and MIT. They all have 2 wins. MIT is just 2-0 because they had a bye week. So the reason why I say that is if you look at the schedule, they played Abyssal Emerald and they played Merciless Esports Frost. And if you look at the standings, those two are at the bottom of the group. Okay. Um, and now you got to think, who do they still have to play? So they play MIT this week, which we'll get to later. They have to play Crosspoint. They get a bye. They play Rev, and then they play Same Strategy. So that is like 3 pretty difficult teams, and those are like the top 3 teams in the group. And if Big Duck Entourage can't beat Junior Burgers, who like was maybe 4th or 5th in the group, like it just raises some concern for me that like maybe this team had an easy start to the season and now are finally tested against teams, and now that they're finally getting tested, it's like that's not going how they thought it would, or their skill level isn't exactly where they thought it would. Um, and for the side of Junior Burgers, I honestly think Junior Burgers are going to make it in the playoffs. It's really early to say this, but I look at their strength of schedule. I look at who they still have to play. They don't have the free win integrated into their record yet, so they're technically 2-2 right now. But they still have to play Abyssal Emerald, who I think they can beat, which would then put them at 3 wins. And if you're saying Big Duck Entourage lose out, or they even win one series against Same Strategy in week 8, they would technically tie Junior Burgers, and Junior Burgers has head to head. And so Junior Burgers would make playoff and BDE would.
That
That
is
now
like
that's
some
pretty.
mathematically correct.
Yeah,
You are going really far. But I'm just thinking that Junior Burgers are pretty underrated. And I think BD is a little bit overrated. But I also think there's another team in this group that's a little bit overrated that we'll get to in just a second here. But Big Duck Entourage are against MIT. They could make me shut up, and I will not say anything else if they beat MIT 2-0 today. You beat them 2-0, I won't shit talk your team ever again. So win 2-0, and I won't say
you
anything.
you heard it here first, folks. Those are his conditions. So we're gonna skip over the Abyssal and Rev game. Unfortunately,
Close.
Abyssal did FF.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to the last match from the Solari division. That is MIT versus the Crosspoint Koalamos. And I can't believe I let Matt Pizza convince me to vote for
it was
Crosspoint that
because
week.
it was because you decided to vote for him is why they lost.
So you're saying it's my fault
It is your
that
fault.
All
Okay,
right,
Matt.
apparently it's my fault CPK
It's
lost because I decided to take a gamble on them. Oh my
Like,
goodness.
I mean, all the other weeks, I was the only one, and they were winning. And then the moment you decided to
You
hype on
were
the
like, no,
train,
no,
and
no. If you guys don't know, Matt Pizza here, he's a big believer in CPK since week 1. He even said that they would win the whole league. So then he convinced me to vote for them. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Fine, I'll believe in them this week. And then they get 2-0'd by MIT. Like, what is that? I think I just got scammed.
listen, I had it in the script. If they lose this game, all right, then
Then why
it's
would
gonna
you
bring
tell
down
me to
your.
vote for them?
It's gonna bring you down
Wow.
with me.
Wow, you guys are hearing this. He's actually
Yeah, that's
he's
kind of what's
that's
going
kind
on
of
there,
you're
guys.
kind of scamming people out of these analyst predictions.
Yeah,
I mean, hey,
seriously, what's
I
going on
see the
there?
script, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm
Uh,
taking some. Now it's Clutch's turn next. He's gonna line up one of his
all right.
weird predictions with me, and then it's over.
All right, okay then. So Clutch, you were the only person to correctly guess 2-0 for MIT. So
Um,
yeah.
guys, like, come on. All right, listen. I love the CPK hype train. I love all their players. I think they're extremely good. But you're also betting against the team that won it all. Like, guys, let's let's put our heads in the right places, okay? Like I said, love CPK, but MIT is just on another level in Solari. Okay, they are literally the best team in Solari, and we saw Ret
Yeah, we'll
versus
see about
MIT.
that.
Matt P. Okay, so Matt, who's gonna? All right, so who's gonna beat them?
Who's gonna bid
Yeah,
MIT? Oh, it's
yeah.
TPK round 2 in playoffs
Oh
finals.
yeah.
I'm telling
Well,
you right
that.
now.
Yeah, really. So
Yeah,
is that gonna be round 2?
yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. I'll keep you to it. Let's see. CPK MIT round 2. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see if that happens, Matt
Oh
Pizza.
my goodness.
But MIT played solid. I think CPK they are they are a good team. They're gonna make playoffs most likely. They're a decent team. I just think they need to reset the mentals. Come into week 4. I think they're on stream today against Abyssal. Obviously, Abyssal does have a new roster, but come in, just do what you did the first 2 weeks. Take the win, get out. Right? Like, there's no need to start getting scared because you're 2-1. Like 2-1's a good record. There's some teams that are way more screwed than you. So they're in a fine spot.
Yeah, I do think this would have been a good series to watch again as well. I say that about like every series. I do think that there are a lot of close series. Especially
Yep.
when it like when a series completely goes the other way than I think it's gonna go, then I just think like, wow, I wonder if I guess I should go see like what happens. but but yeah, I do agree. Like coming into at least this or that week, we saw Red Panda Reximus just kinda like smack every bot lane. And Kilistera and Rakana were just kind of like, well, okay, but and I can't say those words on stream, so
Yeah.
so redacted happened and redacted was the result.
Yeah.
So Matt Pizza, you liar, said CPK.
Yeah. I don't know,
Uh,
man.
what was
You
that about?
yeah. Can you break that down for me? Actually, what was going through your mind?
Listen, I CPK. They were just off. All right, they woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day. They weren't feeling it. All right, but I'm sure they woke up on the right side of the bed today and they're feeling it, and they're gonna 2 whatever team they're facing. All right,
Yes.
you gotta look for the future. All right, and I think CPK has learned a lot from this step back, and I think they're definitely gonna win this game today and not make me look like an idiot.
Hey,
So
Matt
I
Pizza.
believe in them. Yeah.
Uh,
So, does learning a lot from this series also include the entire team role swapping on stream? No comment. Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
no,
Yeah. Can
he's
you nothing? Because well, from what I've heard, they're all going in different positions after they lost last week. So
oh
I'm
my
just
goodness.
telling you what I've heard.
listen,
So
it's
if
they
they've
did learn
learned
a
a
lot.
lot,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
uh,
they did. All right,
okay,
you just don't understand. The role swap, strategic role swapping. All right.
okay. I
We're
hope to
seeing a
see
little
Uh,
bit of the shuffle here. I see that.
it. Yeah.
Alrighty. So we're gonna move on then to our predictions of the week. We have Unlucky Esports
Oh
Academy
God.
versus Hyperion Shadow. I actually think was this match also rescheduled?
This one.
um,
Actually,
Let
no,
me
not
quickly check it.
No,
no,
this
no.
one wasn't.
Okay, that was their other match, right?
They get to play. Yeah, it was the same.
Unlucky Academy actually gets to play since week 1. Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness, guys. Yeah, so Unlucky obviously came in 2-0 against CB Resurrection in week 1. It was like not even close. So, they really made their mark. And, if people, well, so the saying goes is that people always remember the first and last thing of something. So, Unlucky Esports Academy obviously have, really let everyone know how good of a team they are coming into the season. So this week against Hyperion Shadow, obviously we are a little one-sided, as these tend to go. Um, yeah, just like after seeing Hyperion Shadow last week, I do think they will be able to take a game off of Unlucky Esports. Like it really just comes down to, I think, how the resources are distributed between like I guess it also depends on what kind of comp they're playing. If they decide to give Lo-Fi the Jinx again, I think you want to play towards your Jinx. But again, it really depends how Hyperion Shadow wants to play the series. But I do think just from like raw skill and potential, I do think there is at least one game that's gonna go in their favor. But Clutch, Matt Pizza, you both said 2-0. So Matt Pizza, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, can we just talk about major lag again? Like this guy, the like again, Rush players in EDL. What is going on? Do we just all like just grab all the best Rush players from solo queue
Yeah.
and just pop them in here? Like what's going on here? But I think Lucerus is. I mean, I like my top laners. I like I'm a top lane main. I'm in their shoes. I know what it's like to being put on tank duty every single game,
Or in
and you just have
duty,
to
I
suck it up.
still gotta put that clip
Yeah.
on.
Can we?
No,
Should
it's
I
it's
edit
really
the? Should I go get the Twitch clip? Like,
Yo, guys,
no no no
I
no no.
think
no.
Xernian, what we do for the finals, we make a hype video, but it's only Matt Pizza's Ornals. There's 2
No,
clips I have,
no,
and we
no,
just use
guys,
that and
guys,
we
guys.
hype them up super hard
true.
with
All
You're
right.
some
true.
amazing
How about
music,
this?
and
If
then
we
it's
get
Matt Pizza's Ornals.
if we get 200 followers on the Twitch channel, well, you can do that. All right.
How about if we get 100? Oh wait, there already
Nah,
is.
yeah,
Okay, there we go.
no, let's not do that. But yeah,
Matt Pizza, your orange cracked.
I think Unlucky Esports, like they just shocked us, week 1, right? Like when they played and they absolutely demolished the other team, and I think I just want to see them play more, right? Like a lot of their matches have been rescheduled, so this is like I think this is like the second time
It's
we'll
their
be watching
second
them.
match. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if week 1 it was just if it was just a fluke or if they're actually the crack team that Clutch never told us about.
True.
Yeah, it's
Withholding
my bad.
information like he usually does.
What do you mean?
Okay,
I
so
gave you
Clutch, you
information.
also
Oh,
said 2-0. What will be your
yeah.
matchup to watch in this series?
Uh, Wait, like, are you serious? Like, I just think, I mean, unlucky wins. Okay, an actual matchup to watch. Maybe top lane. I think top lane's very versatile for both these two teams. I think, oh, actually, yeah, top lane. I'm gonna be serious. Top lane. I think tomorrow versus Lucerus. I actually think that'll be a good matchup. I also think mid could be good. Uh, I don't know how to say Hyperion Shadow's mid's name because they got a new mid. It was Haven's old mid. Uh, Manami? Yeah, that's not
Manami.
right. Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it right. Versus Talented Pogs, I think the solo laners will actually be very, very good. I think that's where if you're gonna watch anything, I think it's
It's
right there.
Tukamis and Manami
Um,
from Haven or SG together again,
yeah,
Except they
yeah,
swapped and now Tukamis is jungle, Manami's mid.
they,
I think that's actually
yes,
going to be really interesting to
I could
see.
I, I could see that. Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, I just think Unlucky is the best team in the league, even though they've only played 1 week. And I seriously don't think there's any team yet that can contest them. The reason why I say yet is because the later the season goes on, obviously the other teams are going to get better. I think Hyperion Shadow has potential that maybe later in the season they could take a game off Unlucky or beat them. But I think as of right now, I think Hyperion is not going to be able to really contend with Unlucky Esports. Now, Unlucky hasn't played in 2 weeks, so that also plays a factor. So maybe Hyperion comes in swinging and takes a game off them right off the bat, which I would not be opposed to. That'd be pretty cool to see. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, Unlucky is going to 2-0. I think matchups to watch are the solo laners. I think those will be really cool to watch. And yeah, that's all I really got for this series. It's not much.
Alrighty,
I
then
say
we'll
that.
move on to the next series of this week. So it is Feed the Dream versus CB Resurrection. Again, we're looking a little one-sided. So Clutch said 2-0, I said 2-1, Matt Pizza said 2-1, all for CB Resurrection. So we'll start from the bottom again. Matt Pizza 2-1 CB Resurrection.
Yeah. So okay, this last week, right, really showed me that FGD, it's like they're not just gonna roll over and like take a loss. They're gonna fight, and they're growing better at an exponential rate. So I think going against CB Resurrection, I think they can definitely take a game off. But I think overall, I don't I don't believe that you'll be able to overcome the Chinese spy burdeners like hill that awaits you. Um, and like if they are able to get over it, and if FTD are able to show up, then I think that's huge for them, right? If Uncool Squash is able to pop off, then it'll be a massive win for FTD. But I think the way from the as it stands right now and what we've seen, I think CB Resurrection is just by slightly just the better team, right? Like they have the mid jungle synergy. I think, yeah, like I said, get over that hill, and it's a dub.
Yeah, so I'm kind of on the same boat as you, Matt Pizza. I do think that ever since week one, CB Resurrection was like, we will not make the same mistakes. We will stop blundering, and like, they've been pulling through this entire rest of the season so far. Like we've been seeing them do super well. The next week they played was against TFA, and they 2-0 TFA. Like that was nothing to really, you know, scoff at again. And um, like the most of the same roster has been playing in EGL. They've been doing really well. They've pulled a game off of Hawkthorn, and they are able to do just so much more, right? And I do think that's a big factor, I think, into why they're also doing really well now in EDL. They've been playing together a lot. They've been getting a lot of practice, and they're taking what they've learned from both EDL and EGL, and they're winning. So at the end of the day, I do think this will be a really close series. It's two. I said 2-1 CBR. I do think it kind of depends who comes in on the better day, but again, like I pointed this out in my power rankings, I do think the support matchup between Mystic and Night Blossom will be really, really close. Like, I do think both of these supports have two different play styles, but they're both very good at what they do. So Mystic Ozzy, we've seen them play a lot of the like Leona, the Nautilus, and obviously VBU Night Blossom. She plays like Zyra, Maokai, like I think she even played Swain. Was kind of I don't really like playing against Swain, so I'm banning
Yeah.
that. If we ever have to play against each other, I'm banning that. But yeah, like I do think it's gonna be a really close series in that regard. I could actually see this being 8-2-1 for FTD, but again, it really depends, like who just comes in on the better day. So, but Clutch, you were on the team of 2-0 for CB Resurrection.
Yeah. So, the reason why I say 2-0 is because I think just in general, whoever wins game one is going to take game two in the series. I think momentum is just going to be way too much um, for either of these teams. I think they're both good enough to close out a series 2-0. So even though I put CB 2-0, I could just as easily see 2-0. Now, CB I think is just a solid team right now. They've kind of been steamrolling after since week one, basically. They've really got things together now. My only problem with CB is I look at their roster and Bird Nurse, Excel, and VB Night Blossom all don't have enough games to play.
Bruh.
So that is Shadow Stealer and Chinese Spy who are playing. Shadow Stealer has COVID, I'm pretty sure, so he might not. So then they have what? Brave X, Son of Zeus, One Hand, and E subs playing. So that could be pretty bad for them because they just don't have the players, don't have the games, don't have the roster that they could just end up having like half of their actual roster and then E subs going against Feed the Dream and then end up losing. because they don't have their main roster,
So
which
would you
sucks.
change your predictions then in that sense?
If they didn't, yes. Okay, I think if that they have like half the roster in e-subs, then I think but I think if at minimum, I think if they have Shadow Stealer, Chinese Spy, One Hand, then Ambition, who could be going into the jungle, by the way. I know some people know the name. And then possibly Chef Boy going into ADC. I think if they have those 5, then I think they. But it really depends what roster, what iteration they're going to. Because I don't even using Chef Boy. Um, so it kind of varies. But I think CB Resurrection are a very good team. But Beat the Dream also is very good. So I think it's 2-0 either way. I think just game 1 just going to dictate the series. Whoever wins game 1 wins the series
Yeah,
2-0.
I do think my matchup to watch, at least for this series, is Uncool Squash and Chinese Spy. I do think that both of these mid laners are really good at what they do. Like, I do think Chinese Spy has been kind of having a rough season so far. Haven't really gotten to see them pop off like they did, when they played in finals and like when they were playing in ZGG. But overall, I do think that like with the right resources, I could see either player just kind of carrying their team. But again, it depends who shows up, who plays, and how that whole thing goes. So we're gonna look at our next match of the week, which is MIT versus Big Duck Entourage. So I mean, we're a bit split. Matt Pizza, you're trying to. So last week you said BDE 2-0, and what changed? Nothing apparently.
No, yeah, not listen. Consistency is the key to winning this analyst race,
Uh
Yeah.
and
huh.
yeah, like I believe in BDE. All right, listen, MIT they're strong, but I believe in my boys BDE. I honestly like you know Chicago Dragons ankle.
Thank
That's all
you.
I'm gonna say. Okay, they're just
Uh,
waiting. They're scaling. They're scaling for the mid game. All right, mid game's upon us. It's like what halfway through this league, so it's time. It's time for them to pop off.
oh my god, they're gonna hear this and they're like, okay, guys, let's just lose because Matt Pizza.
Yeah, wait. They're gonna hear this and they're gonna be like, no, we don't
It's
want
like what
Pizza to
Clutch
win.
does for VBU every week when he's like, yeah, so they actually win if I just vote against them.
Yeah.
So,
And then they do, and then it's just like, okay,
uh,
like they just want to prove me wrong. And if that's the case, I'll just stop. It's over. I'm leaving. I'm leaving the BDE hype train.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, I do think that MIT has been able to pull together like some pretty good players. I think Rocker, their jungler, has been actually doing really well in all of the series they've been playing, and like again, like Jason KB, Merciful Crow, like I could just list their whole roster and say like there are a lot of strong points to MIT. I think that's what I like about MIT. They have a lot of strong points on the map that they can play around. It's not just one player, not one, just one strategy, right? And I think that's what's going to pull them ahead for this series. So I did say 2-0 for MIT, and Clutch, you also said 2-0.
Guys, I mean, come on. Like, and we're doing this again. And Matt Pizza, you're gonna go against MIT. Listen, I was able
Yeah.
to win Exerning over from last week. Okay, clearly she's got her head in the right place this time. Matt Pizza, did you not hear what I said earlier? That BDE has gone against the 2 easiest teams in the division, and the second they lost to Junior Burgers, and you think they're gonna beat MIT? Where
Listen,
is this logic? Break it
they're
down
gonna
for me. Let
they're
me
gonna
hear this.
upset it. All right, they're gonna upset. Their defeat last week was gonna. It hurts them. All right, it's gonna make them stronger, and they're gonna come up, show up, and they're gonna beat the team. All right, like come on. I believe in it.
This is
Really?
every single week, every single match.
This
Matt
is
Pizza's
crazy.
gotta say like, I believe in them, and he's just
Yeah,
your
can we
hype
talk about
man.
can we
Like,
talk about
Okay,
week
okay.
one
Hold on,
when
hold
I
on.
was like just
We're
absolutely
going off
smurfing
script here. We're
analyst
going off
predictions?
script here for a second. You
uh,
said week 1 CPK was going to win. That was like the one time you were correct in
Yeah,
predictions that were an underdog. Every other time you were wrong, and then you're just like, yeah, they're going to win again.
listen,
I'm the
you
underdog.
go, you make plays on the edge of ending it. Okay, if you're running it down, that's when you make the plays, and that's what I'm thinking about it right here. All right, listen.
every
Common sense?
single
Oh yeah,
week.
sure.
Every single
Matt
MIT.
week.
Pizza.
No,
Matt Pizza.
I'm going
Matt
for
Pizza.
the 2% plays. All
Listen,
right.
you know what? MIT 2-0. I'm with Exerning. I think MIT is going to win. I think they have an extremely good roster, and I'm not trying to bash on BDE because I've kind of been shitting on them this entire time. BDE is a good team. Don't get me wrong. Okay, like they are 2-1 for a reason. If they were bad, they'd be 0-3. Okay, they're 2-1 for a reason. I'm just saying their strength of schedule has been weaker. They lost to Junior Burgers. I'm not saying that they can't beat MIT, but if they lost to Junior Burgers, Matt Pizza, put one and two
Uh,
together, I think MIT will win. Now, if BDE wins 2-0, yeah, you can just tell me to shut
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
all right,
Once
all
VDE
right.
wins, I'm telling you to shut up.
Once BDE wins, okay,
Yeah,
whatever, Matt
okay.
Pizza. We'll move
Yeah,
on. We'll
seriously,
move on.
that's what I'm saying. Let's move on.
So we're gonna look at our last and streamed match
Oh
of
my.
the week. You guys
Oh
are some non-believers. All
my.
right, all
What?
right, all right, all right.
Yo, I can't.
What? Dude, you know what? Matt Pizza, we're having you go last because you suck this team off, all right? Exernian, you're going first. I want to see you
All
go
right,
first.
okay. Hear me out. Last
Okay.
week, I voted for
Okay.
CPK because Matt Pizza he lied to me. This week,
Oh, betrayed.
I have to vote for Abyssal. I'm an Abyssal fan. Everyone knows. In EGL, I always gotta vote for Abyssal. You know, I like their logo. It's got like the cool
They do have a
scythe
cool
thing
logo.
going on. So like, you know, I gotta vote for Abyssal. I just like their logo. And to be completely honest, I do think that Abyssal is probably the weaker team coming into this game. But like Abyssal Emerald, you guys had to FF last week as well. But, you know, I still think there is a lot of strong points from this team. So obviously they lost week 1 2-0, and then they had a bye week, and then they FF'd. Okay, like it's not looking hot. I look really stupid voting for Abyssal right now. But, you know, I'm pulling a page out of Matt Pizza's book, and you know, I think there's someone that should at least believe in them. So I'll be that person. I'm gonna in some of my analyst points for this
That's
match.
okay.
That's my
It
story.
happens. Okay, because I'm gonna go before Matt Pizza just is like, yeah, CPK pass you. All right. Remember, first off, before I even get the CPK, all right, I just want to say one thing. It's kind of not really relevant, but it's kind of relevant. Rev and TFA are scrimming today because they both have bye weeks. Now obviously it doesn't matter. I think that's pretty cool. We get to see Rev versus TFA. I think they're both really good. Like obviously it doesn't matter to the league, but I think it's a cool matchup. You know, I just wanted to point that out. All right, pretty cool. But now to get back on track, CPK 2-0. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what both these rosters are doing. We've got Abyssal Emerald coming in with whatever they've got. Okay. I mean,
With
everything's all
whatever.
over the place. I seriously don't know who's playing. I still can't tell you who's playing. This is the stream match, by the way. So I like usually I'd have some sort of special insight. No, I have none. So I don't know what Abyssal's bringing in. CPK is apparently role swapping their entire roster from what I got told from their coach. So like I don't know what's going on there. Um, so I just said, you know what? CPK's got a better record. Abyssal FF last week, sure, 2-0. There's actually no
Uh,
logic behind it. Literally zero logic. It
I
is literally just
honestly have to agree with you. This series is totally in the air. This is again our streamed match, so I have no idea what's going to happen going into it. But
There's still some.
yeah, you know, we'll have to see. So Matt Pizza, last but not least, you are, you know, always Team Pink. So
All right, guys, come on, listen. Like this roll swap, it's it's gonna make the team the best team in EDL. Okay,
okay.
all right. So let's talk about Red Pen in the bot lane. All right. Now I actually have no idea what the roll swap is. I haven't been told this,
They are
and
saying
like
there's only
they
one
never
rule
didn't.
swap. So
There's just one roll swap. Okay.
yeah.
Um, but I think this is it. I think this is when the Kale hits level 16. Alright. This is it. We're getting into late game territory. CVK, they're scaling. They're gonna make me proud. They're like, alright, we can't let our hype man down. And they're just gonna grab me the dub and Xonian, you're just gonna lose. Because
Every
this time
week.
you're not on the CPK hype train. So how can they like not lose? Or how can they not win? How can they not win?
Uh, well, Okay, that's all I have to say to that. I mean, again, like there is one rule swap according to the players in Twitch chat, and Abyssal. I have no idea what roster they're coming in
Dude,
with. So
listen. All right, I'm just gonna say it. All right, off the tape. I'm gonna get a fine. I don't care. What the fuck is going on in Solari? Like, what is actually happening? Half these teams, I don't even know what's going on. We've got like what? Junior Burgers coming in. They've got E subs. We got Abyssal. They're coming in with the new roster. CPK's role swapping. Like, what is happening? Can anyone tell me what's going on here? Okay. Exerting Matt Pizza, have you got anything? I'm so lost in this division because each week there is a team with a completely new roster, and I'm like, guys, I don't know where to rank these guys. And then everyone just like, I mean, they're like good. I'm like, thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
That
kind of
really
just
helps.
like
All right. It like Solari to me is definitely out of the two the more versatile division, just because like what is going on? Like I think Lunari is very stable, and I think it's like pretty obvious to see like who's gonna be good, who's gonna be bad. Solari, it's like one
yeah.
week we got BDE that's smurfing. The next week they lose the Junior Burgers. This week we could have like MIT wins last week. Nah, they're just gonna lose against whoever their BDE, and then it's like what? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, every week
It's just crazy for
Solari's
me.
getting
I
their, every week Solari gets their power rankings first because he has less to write about.
that is true
Um,
technically. I agree.
I'm also
Eh,
like allergic to power rankings now.
It's
Uh,
okay. I'm allergic too.
but like going into this match, it'll be something. I don't know if I want to call it a
Yeah.
banger like I
I'm
do
gonna
every
it's stream.
week. It is the
It's
stream
stream.
match, so it'll be something. It'll be I think Matt Pizza, are you casting from game 1 onwards or am I casting game 1?
Doesn't he can't
I
he only
What
cast game 1 and then can't cast game 2, right?
I
Is that
where
believe
am
I
I
can cast
understanding
game
this
one
wrong?
and I can't cast game two. Yeah.
You
I
cannot or
think he's
can?
game cannot. I think he's game 1, you're game 2, and then game 3 is whatever.
All
Yeah.
right, so you guys are you guys are kind of in for a treat tonight. My
Yeah.
casting is hot garbage.
That's a lie.
Um
Same.
That oh god, guys, I mean both my color casters say they're hot garbage. I don't know anymore. Just
yeah, but
Dude,
I mean, okay, there is not much else left for the show tonight.
get me out. Get me out.
I'm just gonna move on to the back to the title screen. So, any
Yep.
closing remarks from you, Clutch or Matt Pizza?
You want to go first, Matt Pizza?
sure. I'll
Go
be
ahead.
honest, if I didn't have class, right as game two was about to start, I would cast and I would just end Cole. I'd make it
Oh,
so hard for him to cast.
oh my god. This guy
But
purposely wants to int me.
dude,
Okay.
I'll like. Have you seen our ranked games? I purposely run it down so that you
uh,
come back down to gold one with me.
okay, how much LP? Okay, you know what, Twitch chat? I want to know. I'm not silver anymore. I haven't been silver since like season 5. Then this was before like you could have positional roles and stuff. But Riot is like actually, actually doesn't want me to climb. I lose like 17 LP and I win like 14. Like what's going on? And
Does
I have a
even.
positive win rate. Like what's going on? How much
It's
LP are silver players losing? Like I'm so curious.
yeah. What are your guys' gains and losses?
Dude, one thing I do want to say, Matt Pizza, is you get to see your boy CPK on stream. So I'm
Of
gonna have to
course.
listen to this guy game 1, just be like, "Wow, CPK is so goddamn good," and I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, just get me out." But yeah, I don't know. Silver League this season has just been the most craziest experience, man. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Like each week, I just see there is something going on. Some teams boomed, some teams ready to go. I don't even know what's happening. But I mean that's the silver experience, right? Like just how it is in silver. Um, I guess. Uh,
But
and also,
listen,
I was pretty L9 on this podcast, this pre-show. So that's kind of my bad. I was flaming a lot. I love you all, guys. No homo. But I do. Okay. I mean, the league would not exist without you guys. So as much as I flamed this podcast, you're all great. I hope you all hit gold at the end of the season and don't come back to EDL. Go play in EGL.
Don't come back to
don't
EDL.
come back.
Okay,
The
I
way you
said
said that.
EDL.
Yeah.
Okay,
What?
holy.
Oh, I'm trying to say, Matt Pizza, it's called saved. Okay, if I just said don't come back, then that's toxic. But I said, hey, hit gold, don't come back to EDL, go to EGL. Okay, go play
Yeah.
in the gold league.
Yeah.
Get better.
Get better. Oh my god, he's actually so
Okay, he's actually
toxic.
toxic.
Okay, guys, we gotta end stream before he gets even more toxic. We will
Yeah, screw the stream.
hopefully see you guys 8 p.m. Eastern. Unless you're playing, don't watch the stream and play at the same time.
Yeah,
You should focus on your game.
Or
So-
do and let us and tell
No,
us if you are,
don't.
and
No.
we'll
Please don't.
Focus up on your series, guys. You know the VOD will be there. And
Yep.
yeah, hopefully, unless you guys can show up to this stream tonight, hopefully we'll see you guys there. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. So